Welcome to another episode of Ked Talks. This time we have a special guest, Stephen Aboud, who we have, woken up at the terrible hour of, I think it's 4 a.m. where you are at the moment, is it, Stephen?
Right. No worries. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Oh, mate, I don't know how you do it. Quite frankly, I wouldn't get out of bed that early for an interview.
No worries.
But anyway, Stephen, it's great to see you again. The last time I saw you was in Japan, and from memory, it was at a Kendo World event or something, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, 2017, right.
2017, right. So what have you been doing since then?
Well, I've been doing a postdoctoral research in molecular biology, but as far as my martial arts side, I've been trying to launch this festival called SamuraiCon. So the idea is just to bring together the great martial arts masters from all over the world, Japan, Thailand, Brazil, United States, and bring them together in a way that people can take their classes, ask questions, and just celebrate martial arts together. So that's the main thing I've been up to quite recently.
Right. Well, I'd certainly like to pick your brains about SamuraiCon very shortly, because it's hard to believe that it's the first time such an event's ever been held before. Well, before we talk about SamuraiCon, I'd like to ask a little bit about your own journey in the martial arts. I know that more than Kendo, which is my forte, you're more into the judo, jiu-jitsu side of things. How did you get started in the martial arts? What kept you sort of going all these years to such a high level?
Sure. Well, I don't know about high level, but thank you. So I began with my father just starting me in martial arts when I was 3 years old under a Korean martial arts teacher here in the United States in Ohio, named Master Moe-H Kim. And he was a teacher of Taekwondo, Hapkido, and Judo. So it was, I guess, like most people, he was worried about just his children being bullied. So he started all three of his sons, my two brothers and myself, with Master Kim. And then I just continued, really just fell in love with I guess you go through different stages of what draws you to the martial arts. At first it was something your parents had you do. And then it basically became something like to feel strong and powerful in your teenage years. And then hopefully you kind of fall in love with the discipline and the technical aspect as you get older and wiser, hopefully. So in college, I studied under Sifu Francis Fong and did kind of the Wing Chun and Thai boxing and Filipino martial arts. And then after college, I attended the third UFC in North Carolina and really got into Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which led me to Judo. So kind of a path to eventually end up in kind of focusing on Judo and Jiu-Jitsu.
Right. So what actually took you to Japan? It was primarily for martial arts training or for your graduate studies?
That was for martial arts training. That was primarily to train at the Kodokan. I several years after I began training in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, I kind of realized that, more about the history. I was, long have been interested in Japanese history, but as far as the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, kind of realizing it was just a piece of the whole Jiu-Jitsu art, just primarily the newaza or ground aspect. So I really wanted to learn the tachiwaza, the standing, and I started studying under Sensei Stephen Alphabet in 2004. And then I think 2010 was my first summer at the Kodokan. And I really hope to actually return once all this is over, because fell in love with Judo. A lot of the traditional aspect of Judo appealed to me. I still do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but I kind of see it more in the overall sphere of Judo, in the standing aspect and the ground aspect.
Right. Now you're field of expertise away from the martial arts is to do with biology or something along those lines, right? And reading your bio, I sort of discovered that somehow you've managed to combine the two. I don't know how you can do that. Can you tell us a little bit about the academic side and your martial arts side and how you've managed to bring the two of them together?
I've tried to bring the two, right? I don't know successfully, but I've tried to bring the two of them together. I guess the first kind of segue into the academic side is just having the opportunity to teach young people. So the Invincible Woman Self-Defense Program, just combining what I know of the jiu-jitsu, of judo, Kano jiu-jitsu, and the ground aspect, which of course is also encapsulated very strongly in judo, trying to teach women's self-defense at the university. And then in creating that program, I kind of try to utilize like what I've learned about biology and psychology to try to make the program streamlined. And then also I made a set of physical technique lessons and also psychological techniques. So just what I've learned through the martial arts and what I've learned through, I majored in psychology as an undergrad, like biology and psychology. I try to combine those aspects. So I hope somewhat successfully, I'm sure the program will improve as I hopefully get older, smarter, and wiser. But I tried to combine what I know at the present time about all those things.
Wonderful. Well, now on to Samurai Con. And,
sure.
As I mentioned before, it's, with the growing popularity of Japanese culture, anime, of course, manga, and so on and so forth around the world, not to mention the martial arts as well, of course.
Sure.
This whole aspect of Japanese soft power, the popularity, the incredible popularity in so many different parts of the world of Japanese pop culture in general. Why there has not been a Samurai Con until now is a bit of a mystery. But when you brought it up with me a few months ago, it's like, wow, this is pretty amazing. That you're going to be the first one to do it. What got you on to the idea of a Samurai Con?
Oh, that's a great question. So I spent a lot of time in Atlanta going to school there. I left Ohio, where I was raised at 19. In Atlanta, they have a big sci-fi fantasy convention called Dragon Con, and it's a celebration of science fiction, comic books, fantasy. And then when I did my graduate studies in Florida, I went to Florida SuperCon and just different festivals like that. And I thought, well, could they take the same kind of fun festival aspect of it and apply it to the samurai arts and all martial arts? So that was my kind of idea, like a fun way to get young people involved in some of these amazing disciplines, but kind of having some of the aspects of the sci-fi fantasy conventions, like an artist alley, like trivia contest, kind of a fun way just to introduce people into martial arts. And I know some of your work has talked about how in Japan, correct me if I'm wrong, that there's a lot of popularity for Western sports, but the Budo, so kind of just anything to shine light on what I find to be amazing disciplines that I'm still a neophyte in, but that I want to learn more about and hopefully bring people into like a fun way to get an introduction to those arts.
Right. So you're sitting as kind of a pathway, as it were, for people who are interested. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there interested through games, for example.
Right.
But this is the real stuff. This is where you get in there and you actually do it, right? So that's pretty much the concept for you, is it? It's to get more exposure for the martial arts, not just the Japanese ones, but martial arts in general, for people to actually, when this COVID thing finally settles down, get out there and actually do it. Is that what you're aiming for? That's
exactly what I'm aiming for. Like, in one of your books, the complete, correct me about the title, like the complete Samurai's Guide to Japan, something along those lines. Yeah. Like reading in your book, they talk about like a weekend introduction in Japan. I would love people to attend this festival do the festival in person, and then actually go to Japan and do some of these great introductions to the Budo arts would be great. But yes, that's spot on. And just a fun introduction, to martial arts, basically.
In an ideal world, something like Samurai Con would perhaps be convened at a big conference center of some sort, where people actually rock up there and try their hand at things and get to meet people. Is that what you had in mind when you came up with the concept, or was it pretty much going to be online from the outset? It
was actually going to be in person from the outset, which would be, of course, more difficult and more expensive. But the idea was pandemic to have it in person, like one of these big festivals that I've really enjoyed over the years. And then in November, in the midst of the whole pandemic, I saw an advertisement for something called CrimeCon. And they said, we're going to go, we usually do it in person, but we're going completely virtual. So their topic was true crime, which I have a little bit of interest in, nothing like compared to my interest in martial arts and other topics. But I virtually attended it just to get an idea of what they were doing. And that kind of served as the model. Well, why couldn't I do the same thing, knock on wood, for martial arts? So yeah, that's how it kind of became virtual, because, still traveling is so difficult. So I thought, especially in this time, it would be something valuable, something useful to be able to bring people together. There's an exhibitors hall that we built that's like a Japanese style dojo, and there's live chats in every room you go into, like the different speaker rooms or the exhibitors hall or the artist alley. There's live chats. So that was important to me, to try to find a way to connect people together when many people are still not really living their normal social lives as far as travel and all that. Right.
Well, clearly the fact that you're up at 4 a.m. To take this interview, you've put a lot of time and effort, blood, sweat and tears, I'm sure, to get this organized. And it's not in an ideal situation, but your philosophy is just to make the most of it and get the ball rolling. What have been some of the major hurdles that you've encountered on the way to get this organized?
Thanks for that question. It's been tough. It's actually, every aspect has been more difficult than I imagined. It's finding the right design team for the website and the virtual platform. And then the original design team that we had came down with a COVID outbreak, so we had to move the date of the convention, inform all the guests we were moving it. There's just from T-shirts being printed incorrectly to just everything that I could imagine. It's kind of like in the lab in science, like everything that can go wrong often does go wrong.
Murphy's law, isn't it?
Right. Right. So it's just I didn't think it was going to be easy, but I guess, like all things, hopefully worth doing, that you run into challenges and you try to get past them, but it's been quite a few challenges. Yeah.
So you'll be very happy when it's over, but we're a week out, I think, and right. We're just about there. I'm looking at your list of guests and talk about a star-studded lineup. There's you've got some pretty amazing people to cooperate with you. You want to tell us about some of the guests that you've asked along to participate in the Samurai Con?
Sure. And well, I'm going to start with you, Dr. Alexander Bennett. So, you are a Japanese martial arts, basically aficionado in multiple martial arts, multiple title books. I'm really, really happy that you joined us. And along with you is Paul Martin, Japanese sword expert. Also joining us from Japan is, and he was a former curator of swords at the British Museum. Yep. So I'm really thrilled to have like authentic samurai martial arts and samurai sword arts lineage from Japan joining us. That means a lot to me. And Matt Alt and Hiroko Yoda also joining us from Tokyo. And they actually wrote a book quite recently about Japanese pop culture and how it's affected the world. Some of the things you mentioned earlier in this interview. And they'll also be talking about their book, Ninja Attacks, about the history and pop culture of the ninja. So along those lines with the sword experts is a sword choreographer, Adrian Paul, probably best known for his work on the TV show Highlander, but who's been doing hundreds of sword choreographies through the years. And then in the Gracie or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu side of things, we have Grandmaster Helson Gracie, the coach of the first Ultimate Fighting champion, Royce Gracie, the son of Grandmaster Helio Gracie, the co-founder of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and Richard Bressler, who is the first student starting in 1979 of Rorion Gracie. And then also, as far as people who have had experience training in Japan, we have Grandmaster Stephen K. Hayes, who's sometimes called the first American ninja, and his student, who's a Special Forces veteran, Hakeem Eisler. We have him as well joining us. Let's see. So, also Romulus Hillsborough, historian, expert on the Samurai Revolution and many aspects of the late 1800s Japanese history. Super fascinating stuff. And just trying to see, I should have a list in front of me. It's trying to see from memory if I forgot anyone.
My friend was very excited about Kathy Long coming along.
Yes, well, right? Yes, the Thai boxing experts. Yes, Kathy Long, good one. So 5 times world kickboxing champion, super accomplished martial artist. She actually began in Aikido. Actually, earned a Shodan, a black belt in Aikido. And my friend, my training partner from way back in the day in Atlanta, Crew Pedro Solana, who moved to Thailand and learned Thai, studied at a number of Thai camps over like a decade, and now lives there, has his own academy of traditional Thai martial arts there. So I think we got I think that's all. It's about 13 people. And I should also mention, we have a great cast of artists there who are going to be available for commissions. And we have artists from like DC Comics and Marvel Comics, like James Pasco, and all kind of like the martial arts and pop culture aspect. Abek Begalan, I probably butchered that name. My apologies, but he actually did a portrait for Pope John Paul. So great cast of characters.
Yeah, well, Life One was very honored that you would think to ask me, sure. And I'm really very much looking forward to talking about Hagakure. You're going to be doing a screening of one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Ghost Dog.
Yes.
Which, just absolutely fantastic. So you got, sort of something pretty much for every flavor of martial arts and every level of interest from what I can see from the schedule. Just wanted to ask you, this obviously is your first time doing it.
Sure.
Now that Murphy has had his fun with you, he can just bugger off and everything is going to go swimmingly well, I'm sure. What are your plans in the future, mate? I shouldn't have said that, should I? Is this going to be a regular thing? Are you thinking annually, once every 2 years? What have you got in mind?
So I don't know how often I want to have it, but I definitely want to have more Samurai Cons. One of my ideas was to kind of number them, like Samurai Con 2, Samurai Con 3, and ideally, I wanted to have the original idea. I'm not sure if this is still going to go forward, but I wanted to have 3 a year, 2 of them bring in all martial artists of all different fields and disciplines and traditions, but one of them kind of be like a specialty show. So I don't know if it would be this summer. That was the original plan. Everything got kind of pushed forward because of the issues, but I had an idea to do SamuraiCon 2 Swords of Summer and just have sword masters from different cultures and traditions. So have Japanese sword masters, have sword masters from the Filipino martial arts, Thai martial arts, and some of the European martial arts. And then have some of the like I did the survival training. I'm definitely still a white belt in outdoor survival skills, but I did a survival training with Creek Stewart, who's an American survivalist. And so maybe have some of the, it's not sword, it's knife, but have some of the survival experts maybe talk about the knife and maybe some of like the Native American survival skills using the knife. Just have it all like blade show. And then maybe the next year we do Bruce Lee. Maybe the next year we'd focus just on the Japanese sword or on jujitsu. So
right.
It was kind of the idea to do like a specialty show once a year and 1 or 2 other shows every year.
Right. Well, for the people who are watching this Kid Talk, I'm sure they're very curious. And if you perhaps could take us through how you go about participating in SamuraiCon. What does it entail? I mean, it's obviously online, so what do people expect?
Oh, that's great. So yes, so you can go to samurai-con. So that's samurai with a hyphen in it, then con.com for tickets. And they have been reduced 50% off for Memorial Day. I just decided to extend that. So for now, they're still 50% off. I think the lowest ticket tier has been cut from $99 to just $47 to, I think that's about over 15 hours of basically seminars and classes and the Artist Alley and the Exhibitors Hall, sponsored by Tuttle's Books. I should mention that all the Tuttle books are on sale for 35% off. If you go to the TuttlePublishing.com website and put in the promo code SamuraiCon, you get 35% off all the Tuttle's authors' books. And there's actually quite a few Tuttle authors who are going to be, including Dr. Bennett, who are going to be speaking at the convention. So that's basically the main way, to go to samurai-con.com.
Okay, and then you buy the tickets, and that basically gives you access to all of the online events that are going to be happening, the talks, the interviews, and so on, right?
Exactly. Then on the day of SamuraiCon, you'll get a code, and you enter a portal through the website, and you'll be emailed a passcode, and you enter, and then you enter basically try to make it look like a Japanese traditional dojo with 2 different speaker rooms and an exhibitors hall, and you can just choose, just like in a real convention, where you want to go throughout the day. Right.
Fantastic. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I can tell you're at your wit's end, and you'll be happy when it's over. But it's some exciting times ahead, really.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I kind of wanted to create the martial arts party or event I wanted to attend. So I kind of sometimes wish I could take my promoter's hat off and just attend it because I have so many great guests. but yes, after it's over, I'm going to go back and attend it like a guest, basically.
Fantastic. Well, Stephen, thank you very much for taking time out to explain this. What I very much hope will become a regular event. And I'm fully behind your efforts to promote the martial arts, the beauty of the martial arts and the philosophy of the martial arts to people who are sort of don't really know much about it. But once you get in there, it's like Hotel California, isn't it? It's pretty hard to check it out.
Right. It's in it for life, definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support, as always. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And good luck. And I'll be seeing you next week. Well, yes. On the 12th, I better the dates. We better give people the dates.
Yeah, June 12th. Yeah, June 12th, Saturday. So it's coming up. So not tomorrow, not next Saturday. It's just a week away, and it's going to be great. 11 a.m. United States Eastern Time, but you can log in from wherever in the world you are. It's going to run from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. The Ghost Dog movie party starts at 7. Then we're going to have an after party, which Dr. Bennett was kind enough to offer to discuss the Hagakure samurai text that's featured in the movie. So I'm really looking forward to it, and it's going to be great. So it's going to be great because we have great guests like you and the other ones joining us. So.
Well, I'll do my best to make sure that I do what you want me to do, mate, and make it a success. But looking forward to seeing you there. And once again, thank you very much. Go back to bed.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Okay, mate. Cheers. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Okay. Thanks. See you soon. Bye. Take care.